Hey everyone, and welcome to another Blink development log. It's about 6:55 on Wednesday morning. You guys may have noticed that I did not post a video last week, so sorry about that. Things just got kind of busy with work, and I didn't have a lot of time to work on Blink or record footage, and I actually had to travel for work earlier this week, so things have just been kind of hectic. However, I'm back home now, and I'm ready to get back to work on Blink. So this week I'm excited to start work on what is essentially the last big feature for Blink, and that's some kind of progression or unlock system to go hand in hand with watching a video advertisement at the end of your round. I want to reward the player for that somehow. Now, I didn't record much footage last week, but I did make a little bit of progress on this front. Specifically, what I got working was just showing a video advertisement. There's no callback or anything right now for success, or we're not really doing anything, but we're showing the video advertisement. This was actually really easy to achieve. You start off by opening the services window in Unity, and you just flip the switch really and set up a few things here in the dashboard. And then finally I wrote a code snippet that handled showing the advertisement. And in fact, in this class, the most important line is just calling advertisement.show, passing in the video ad ID, which you set up in the dashboard here, and you're pretty much good to go. That worked right out of the box. So that was really exciting to get that working. It was a lot easier than I expected. So now what we have to do is somehow reward the player for doing that, which is what we're going to talk about next. My idea for this reward system is pretty straightforward. What I'm thinking is that I will have some kind of global score tracker, meaning that as you play each round of Blink and you end up with a final score, that score will be appended to your global score, which will almost serve as some kind of currency or XP. So that number just gets bigger and bigger the longer you play and have the game installed on your device. Now, at certain points, maybe once you have 100 points or 1,000 points or 5,000 points, I have no idea what those values are going to be, but at certain point levels you will unlock various pieces of art. My idea is that I'll have a couple different background themes. Right now the background kind of looks like a summery forest, but I figured I would create one for spring, winter, and fall. I don't know if I would change the colors or the actual sprites themselves. I'd have to put some thought into that. And maybe one that's just totally crazy, like Outrun themed or something that was really hard to unlock. I also plan to have a number of different unlockable players. So right now you just play as a firefly, but I was thinking of having a bunch of other flying insects that you could use. I know that doesn't really make sense with the blinking, but I just think it would be a fun thing for the user. Kind of like Crossy Road, how you can play with a bunch of different little characters. So the idea is that after you accrue points, I'll have some kind of unlock screen where you'll choose what background you want to use, what insect you want to play as, and it'll just let you customize your experience a little bit, and I think that'll be fun. To go along with this, I think it makes sense that upon finishing watching a video advertisement, rather than just continue, you should be immediately rewarded by having your multiplier increased. This means that the player will just instantly jump forward towards unlocking some of this stuff a little bit more quickly, and I think it'll provide a better incentive to actually watch the video. So with all that said, this morning I'm going to start out with a few tweaks and gameplay balancing things that I noticed after having the game on my phone for another week and playing it on there. And then once I finish that up, I'm going to just jump into the progression system for the rest of the week, which I'm really excited to work on. If you guys have any thoughts or feedback about the progression system that I just described, I'd love to hear them. I want this to be as rewarding for the player as possible, so your suggestions are really valuable to me. With all that said, let's hop into it and get to work. Alright, I'm happy with my little bit of progress there. I implemented saving a global score. I'm not doing anything with it yet, but I just have a new key and I have basically a new entry in player preferences to store my global score. And after that, I went ahead and implemented basically a callback for when the video advertisement is done showing. I just used the action API for that. So when you call show continue ad, you pass in whatever you want once the ad completes. I set that here, and then down here in the callback for handle ad show result, I am just calling my completion action on finished. Now, for skipped and failed, I probably will need to implement similar actions, but I'm not worried about that right now. I'm just going to focus on happy path. Did those two things, made a few tweaks to this canvas and stuff, as you guys probably saw, and I think I'm going to call it there this morning. I want to get into work a little bit early. So happy with progress there. I'll catch up with you guys hopefully after work. So it's about 7:20 p.m. on Wednesday. Ended up leaving work a little bit late, stayed for a meeting until 7 o'clock or so. but still light when I left work thanks to daylight savings time, so I still really enjoyed the ride home. Just got home now, and even though I don't have much gas left in the tank to keep doing development work, I know I want to make a little more progress on the code that executes after you watch the video advertisement in Blink. So I'm going to take a stab at that now and then probably take the rest of the night off once I make a little progress. Alright, that actually didn't take too long at all to get all that working, and I'll explain why, but first we'll go ahead and jump into a little demo right here. We'll go ahead and start up the game just from a fresh run of the project. We will immediately lose. We've got a score of 4 here, had terrible accuracy, and if we tap continue, we of course see this menu that we saw before. I changed the text a little bit here to say double your multiplier and continue by watching a short video advertisement. I change this text every time I sit down here, so that might not be, what the end value is, but I think it's an improvement for now. If you tap sure, of course we've got our Unity ads up and running, so this would be an ad on your mobile device. We'll tap close to emulate finishing that advertisement, and what we see is that we jump right back into the game. We get the zoom out, we see the familiar kind of intermission stuff here, so you have a few moments to gather yourself before you actually start playing again. And we see that even though our accuracy was poor where we left off, we still have our multiplier multiplied by 2. So if we go ahead and lose again here, we will see that the continue button is no longer available. So we can't just daisy chain those together and get an absurd score. If we tap play again, that's what's going to actually reset that flag. So if I start the game from scratch, oh look, my multiplier's not reset. We got a bug. That's all right. Go ahead and go through there, and now we see the continue is able again. That flag's been reset, and sure enough, just like before, we can continue our run. Now, of course, I'll fix up this little defect here. But yeah, everything's looking good here, and that was surprisingly easy to implement. I won't dive too much into the details over here because most of this code is specific to kind of my game manager for Blink. But if I could just get real nerdy for a second, the coolest part about this, all the code I just wrote here was in continue round, and the bulk of it is me calling change locale and continue. And this is what I call during the intermission period, where you fill between like 10 and 20 circles, you see your score, you see your multiplier update, and I didn't really change much about this at all. I am passing in a new boolean just to let my intermission stats function know that it needs to multiply the multiplier rather than calculate a new one based off of accuracy. But because of the way that I wrote this function back when I wrote it, I was able to pretty much call it as is for this entirely different purpose. One of my favorite things about programming, and especially like object-oriented programming like this, is creating smart functions just that serve a single purpose that you can reuse. And when I'm able to accomplish a task like I just did, reusing a function that I wrote a long time ago for something cool like this, it's so satisfying. It's just one of the reasons I love writing code. Anyway, that kind of wraps up what I wanted to do tonight. I wrote a lot of code today at work and this morning, and even more right now, so I think I'm going to take the rest of the night off. Morning everyone, and welcome back. It's Friday morning at 7:15 a.m. and I'm just deciding what I want to pull off the front burner for the rest of this week, since earlier this week I pretty much finished up everything that I had queued up. Now this morning I think I want to work on creating the global score UI. Now we are tracking your global score, but you don't have any way to see it yet, so I want to work on getting that showing up on the score screen. And after that, this weekend I'm actually going to be going to visit my folks, and I won't be taking my laptop, but I should have my iPad with me. And I usually wake up pretty early and have some downtime, so I'm thinking it would be a wise choice to start working on creating the unlockable insect art. This will be the different sprites that you'll be able to unlock and play as you accrue, a higher and higher global score over time. So that's my plan for today and this weekend, but right now I'm just going to jump into creating the global score UI. Alrighty, so I've accomplished that task, and as you can see here, the title screen has changed a little bit. The start button is now in the middle rather than up here right underneath Blink. You guys will have to tell me what you think about that. I'm not quite sure I'm sold on it, but anyway. We also have a new unlocks button here. That's going to take us to this new unlocks canvas where we see our title and we see that you've blinked a total of X times. In my case it's 205, but this is just reflecting the total score you've ever accumulated while playing the game, which I implemented earlier this week. Now you see a lot of blank space under here. This is where I'm planning to lay out probably 2 rows of 5 squares, and in each square you'll see the pixel art that I create for the various playable characters. You'll just be able to tap on one of those, it'll highlight and show as selected, and this little guy down here will update to reflect the change that you made with the new sprite. At that point, you'll just be able to tap back and continue playing Blink as the new sprite. I think that's going to work out pretty nicely, but of course I still have to create the artwork and everything. So I think I'm wrapped up here for this morning. Like I said, I'm going to be out of town this weekend, so the rest of my updates will probably be artistic in nature, I guess, and I'll let you know once I have more progress done on those sprites. It's Saturday around 9 a.m. and as I predicted, I woke up a little bit earlier than everyone else, so I came downstairs, made some coffee, and have been enjoying the beautiful view and the toasty fire. I've also been working on some pixel art, so here you can see I've created a bumblebee as another playable character, which I think turned out pretty well, and I've also been sitting here working on a Luna moth. Now these are 16 by 16 sprites, so this actually presents quite a bit of a challenge for creatures and organisms that are as detailed as the Luna moth, but I'm pretty happy with the progress I'm making so far. We've got, I guess, 3 total player characters now. I want to have about 10, so I'm just going to keep cruising through these and see how much progress I can make. Good morning, everyone. It's coming up on 8 a.m. here, and I'm just enjoying this last beautiful morning at my parents' house before I hit the road and head back home. For those of you who follow me on Twitter, you'll see that I actually finished up all the artwork for my playable characters, which is super cool. I'll go ahead and show that on screen now. I think I'm actually going to hold off on implementing that into Blink and the unlock screen until next week's development log, though. So that said, I think that's going to finish up this week's video. I really appreciate you guys watching, and as always, I'd really love to hear from you in the comments and let me know what you think of Blink so far, if you have any suggestions, and where I should take it in the next video. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next week's video.